let's go to a part of London that's been in all of our minds recently, North Kensington. Aaron is from there, and you have a question for the Mayor, Aaron.
Yeah. North Kensington aside, we all know about that. But I build attainable houses for a living. Basically, I'm a housing developer, and I'm pretty much treated as the enemy when I walk into any council, whether that be in or out of London. And I want to know how you can help me affect a culture change within there and help me build the houses that I want to build. And when I say attainable houses, I mean flats, I mean houses that the people in this room here can afford to buy. And its land is expensive and it is difficult to build because it's so...
Just give us very briefly an idea of what the obstacles are and what makes you feel you're cast as an enemy, if you could.
I've put a pre-planning application in to a London council in March to build houses, and I'm still fighting the system to get that through and actually move that planning application actually forward, because it takes so much time, and the people that we're dealing with...
March of this year?
March of this year. And the people we're dealing with don't communicate. They don't respond to emails. They don't get back to you. And it's second rate. And they charge a king's ransom for the advice that they do not end up giving.
Sadiq Khan.
Well, I can't deal with a specific, but can I deal with it general, which is, there is a big...
Making it easier for people like him to build houses.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, private developers, councils, housing associations, small builders, big builders, all have a role to play in fixing the housing crisis. Councils can't do it by themselves, nor can housing associations, so we need private developers and small ones. One of the things that James Murray, my Deputy Mayor, set up is a special fund to assist small builders and developers to help fix the housing crisis in London. We've also got a team in City Hall helping councils who, what's happened over years is councils have had to make savings because of cuts, and their planning teams have become smaller and smaller and smaller, and the complaint you make is quite common, because fewer officers takes more time to process an application. There aren't the pre-application discussions you'd have in the olden days, which would lead to you knowing what the council expects. We're trying to provide the expertise to local authorities to try and speed up the process you're talking about. Just to give you an idea of the delay. Even if the gentleman gets permission to build a home today, on average, it takes 2 years for those homes to be built. The last year in which Boris was mayor, so the year before I became mayor, only 13% of homes given permission, 13% were affordable. Only 24,000 homes were built in that last year, which is why I say it's a marathon, not a sprint. And James and I negotiated from the government a good package, and so we're starting the process now of trying to unblock the blockage. And one of those is making sure that affordable homes are genuinely affordable, because everyone here knows an affordable home is a euphemism for things Londoners can't really afford. And I'll let James, with your permission, define what we mean by genuinely affordable home. And there are three things we mean. James.
Sure. So one of the questions which comes up time and time again is, what does affordable mean? You talk about affordable housing and people look at you because they want to understand the definition of affordable. And actually that's a pretty reasonable reaction, because the term has been used so much in recent years to refer to things which aren't really affordable for people on normal incomes. So what Sadiq has done is set out very clearly in the policies he's put out over the last year what genuinely affordable means. And there are lots of different things, but there are three main options in there which I'll just set out very briefly. One, it's homes for rent, homes for low-cost rent, social rent, council housing, homes which are built by housing associations, and so on. That's for people on low incomes, so that they can get a rented property from a council or a housing association at a low-level rent. There's then shared ownership, which is for people who want to buy, who have a bit of a deposit, but can't afford to buy on the open market. And shared ownership means that they can buy with a much smaller deposit and then have outgoings every month they're more likely to be able to afford. And then the new idea that Sadiq has brought in the last year is called London Living Rent, which is something for people who are caught between social rent, that they're unlikely to be able to get through the council or a housing association, but who can't yet even afford to buy through shared ownership. And this is a rent which is below market level, which means that people can pay less than they would pay if they were renting privately. And with that money they save, they can save that up and then in a few years' time, potentially buy a home. So it's trying to make sure that we've got a whole range of different homes to help people. And, you know, James, one of the reasons why this answer goes on a bit is because the answer about what does affordable mean is not a simple question to answer in the London context, because there's lots of different Londoners with different incomes, with different savings and so on. But what Sadiq has set out is different sort of opportunities for different Londoners to get a home that they need.